Welcome
Welcome
to Sleepdrunk.
to Sleepdrunk, where we have a guest this week.
Yes, I'm Mike. You might remember me from the first couple episodes of Sleepdrunk.
Yeah, the first six. Mouse is taking a break this week. He's taking some time off, and so Mike just kind of jumped in, filling his spot, and we're just gonna have a good time. Talk about some nerdy shit, because I think it was funny when we were first envisioning the show, like almost a year ago now. We were talking about how if there were contingencies, where at the time it was to be a 3-person show. We were talking about contingencies where if one person was out, like the other two would have something to talk about that would be in the realm that the third might not be into.
And for Alavi and I, that is nerdy.
Yes, nerdy. So today we're talking about comics, and comics are kind of a weird thing for me because I'm pretty sure I'm someone who would really like comics because I like comic book films, as I think most people do nowadays, but also I'm a big reader of manga. Like, on my shelf right in front of me, I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, should be an eight volumes of manga, and I have more at home. And so, Michael, on the other hand, you've been a comic person for a while.
Oh,
right?
yes. I've been into comics since I was about 8 or 9. I went to Comic-Cons quite a bit with my dad. It was something that we used to kind of connect over, and I've got just boxes full of comics at home. DC, Marvel, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And so I was going to kind of, take this as kind of what aspects of comics are you into, what universe is, characters, stories, and then maybe afterwards just talk about some starting points and tips for people that kind of want to get into it. So how does that sound?
Mm-hmm. That sounds great.
All right, so let's start with this. DC or Marvel?
DC.
For comics.
For comics.
Movies?
For comics. Movies... DC makes much better animated movies. I gotta give them that bone. It's a bone, not many people realize that DC has, but DC's animated movies are really good. But live action, Marvel dominates that market. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it.
Yeah, so I think that's the general consensus. And so, what about DC draws you compared to Marvel?
I'm not sure. I always found Marvel characters to be a little more bland, and I just found DC's universe to just be so much more fleshed out and iconic because when I was 8 and 9, this was when Iron Man 1 first came out and Marvel was still not mainstream. DC was much more mainstream. And I think as far as iconography goes, they still are, but Marvel has definitely stepped into the scene really recently. But yeah, DC was just, they were the juggernaut at the time, and so Green Lantern was actually what drew me into DC.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I find that somewhat ironic, because there's a running meme about how you and I are twins, and probably, the closest I ever got to getting into comics earlier was because of Green Lantern. But, he's a cool character. But I think a lot of the modern iconography of Marvel is driven in large part by the MCU and the films.
Oh, that's definitely...
Because I know that, Iron Man was recently redesigned until he died, but he was, redesigned to look like Robert Downey Jr., Wasn't Nick Fury originally white? Yep,
Nick Fury's white, and then Marvel put in another universe Nick Fury. I think it's Ultimate Universe Nick Fury is Samuel L. Jackson. He just is.
And have they done anything with Thanos since Endgame? Infinity War? Any reworks? Because I know that comic Thanos looks very different than movie Thanos.
He's got a bunch of different lines. I know recently they did Marvel Infinity and then Son of Thanos, which I haven't read, so I can't speak too much on, but I know that he has been a more recurring character recently.
Yeah. And so, I think that's a big part of it. And so, I guess... the thing that's always kind of weirded me out about comics in general is that, how many universes is DC on now? Because there was, the original, New 52... And then, is it Rebirth happening? Is that the thing?
Yeah, Rebirth kind of replaces New 52. So New 52 is not really a thing, because it kind of fell flat. So except for a couple characters like Wally West, Dr. Manhattan, I think those are the major two. Nobody else in DC Rebirth knows that New 52 happened.
And so, New 52, if I understand this correctly, happened because one of the Flashes, Barry Allen?
Yes.
He wanted to, save his mom, so he went back in time, saved her. That broke everything. Bruce Wayne died as a child. His mom became the Joker.
Yeah, that created Flashpoint, which is a really, really great comic line. Highly recommend it. It's one of the best Flash lines.
Yeah, and so that kind of broke everything, and then we got just a universe reboot. Which I think my thing is that I feel one of the differences between comics and manga, and I think this kind of hints back to this, is that comics have been around much longer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, the first Batman comic was in, 1940 or something, right? And so I think because of that, universe reboots just kind of have to happen at some point, because if you want to maintain continuity, you can only add so much to an existing timeline without things getting confusing. Which I understand why these reboots have happened, where when you look at manga, I think the stories are much more discrete and contained. Like, you don't have big universe crossovers like you do in DC and Marvel. Like, there's no Infinity War, there's no Crisis on Infinite Earths, like, there's no Flashpoint. Like, Naruto is Naruto, and everything that happens in Naruto happens in Naruto. I think the most that ever came to a crossover was in the final chapter of the original Naruto line. The author drew, like the One Piece logo as some graffiti. And, like, that I think that was the extent of the reference.
I think Dragon Ball has a crossover episode with some obscure 90s manga that I remember reading about, but that's about it. It's a filler episode.
Yeah, like, especially filler doesn't count. So it's like, I think in the broad scheme of things, because of this, I've just found that manga's easier to follow, because you can pick a story and just start and go. Like, for example, okay, this is actually a bad example, so something on my shelf. I guess Naruto or Bleach. I think Bleach is a good example, right? So Bleach is probably my favorite manga series of all time. I don't actually own any of it, but I read it because I think one thing about manga is that most manga fans, if you want to read recent manga, there's no legal way to read a chapter that comes out in the week. You have to wait for someone to scan it and translate it. That's just how it is. I think there's one source, and they only have some stuff, and so you have to do it. And so, yeah, that's it. Like, I have no shame in saying that. Like, that's just how I get my manga. That's how it is, for Western manga fans. But I read Bleach from, I want to say, 2013. I read it weekly until it ended in 2016. The final arc was so good and then so bad. It made me want to cry. Because, like, this is a thing in a lot of media, is that publishing companies, they like to fast track things. Like, I know this happened with, I want to say, a Batman storyline that I was hearing about that got fast tracked kind of hard and they skipped a bunch of stuff. I think it was related to the Dark Knight's Metal event, but I might be wrong.
Dark Knight's Metal has had a lot of time to come into its own.
Yeah.
The ending's just really weird, but the Batman Who Laughs, who is like a combination of Batman and Joker from an alternate universe, he is just kind of like leading his own story now.
Yeah.
Which is him taking over the DC universe, and then Lex Luthor has to fight him at the very end because he's beaten everybody else.
Yeah, and so I guess I gotta kind of segue into that, because I am a fan of comic YouTube, which is kind of weird, because I think it's nice background noise when I'm doing things. If I'm cleaning and I don't want a podcast, I might put on, here's a summary of the Old Man Logan story. Here's a summary of some other thing. Also, Logan is one of the best comic movies ever. You should go watch it.
For sure.
It's fantastic.
Was a work of art.
It's
some tears.
See, the thing is that, I think there's comic book movies that are standalone art things, like, for example, the Dark Knight series.
Yes. From
2008 onwards, right? Those are 3 movies. They sit on their own, and they just exist. They do their thing, and they're done. Joker, from more recently, which we talked about on the show after we watched it.
You guys did an episode on Joker?
Yeah.
Oh,
we
man,
did a movie
in there.
Yeah, we did a movie review. So, it's a condensed, hopefully contained storyline. I know that aspect is somewhat ambiguous. For the most part, I think everyone's assuming it's going to be a contained story.
Yeah, it's contained.
Yeah. But then Logan is in this place where it is part of the Marvel X-Men continuity, but still very much its own thing. They reference things that happen in the Marvel X-Men continuity, but it is not you're not going to see, I don't know, Jean Grey. I think she's dead, isn't she?
Yeah, she's dead. She's way dead at that point.
She's way dead.
Twice.
They're all dead except for Professor X.
Yep.
Yeah, they're all dead. And then that one guy who can't be in the sun. I forgot his name. I'm not a big X-Men person. I'm just not. Which is funny because my mom loves X-Men. My mom is kind of weird because she says she likes nerdy things but isn't really into them. She really likes Wolverine. She really likes Star Wars, but never watches anything related to them and doesn't know the continuities and stuff. Because my mom grew up on the original trilogy.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of these brands have just kind of evolved into something bigger than what they were over time.
Absolutely.
I can see how that is kind of a turnoff to some people. Because Star Wars, it is the biggest brand ever.
Yes.
And it started as just kind of George Lucas's passion project.
Yes. Although I think one thing I find interesting is that a lot of Star Wars fans kind of like to talk about how X Star Wars movie is trash, mostly the prequels, a lot of times the new trilogy, sometimes the Empire Strikes Back. Not the Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Although that's less frequent. But there is a camp people that hate Return of the Jedi.
I am not a part of that camp. I really like Return of the Jedi. It's definitely really not as good as the two preceding movies. But, I mean...
Like, Empire Strikes Back is the best one.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back is damn near perfect.
Yeah. But I just find it interesting because if the prequels are trash, Rise of Skywalker was disappointing. Yeah, I was disappointed by it. And, like, Return of... The Last Jedi is disappointing. This means the majority of the Star Wars franchise is bad.
But Star Wars has so much extended media that
absolutely
makes up for it.
Clone Wars.
Yep, Clone Wars.
The Mandalorian.
The books. I am a big fan of the Star Wars books.
The comics.
Yes.
Although now with the new Disney canon, a lot of that
has just been
they're still good stories. Mm-hmm. And I think this kind of also comes back to another comics related thing, is that I think DC a while ago took a stance of creativity over continuity. Mm-hmm. And I think this ties into the idea of the Star Wars comics and video games, that whole universe, is that basically I think the original trilogy, the prequels, the Clone Wars, I think, and everything that came after The Force Awakens is now canon.
Yes.
Everything else is not canon. So, like, the video games, the comics, the books...
Battlefront 2 video game is canon.
Okay, yeah, because that came out after Force Awakens.
That was after the buyout.
Yeah. And so that is no longer canon. And for those of you who don't know, canon is this idea in media of things that actually happened in the story, opposed to just, like, ideas. Like, for example, there's a storyline in Marvel where Wolverine is gay and marries Hercules, and then Zeus sends them to hell. That's not canon. That's just a cool story.
Mm-hmm. That's the Marvel what ifs.
Yes.
Which is what they like to do, and DC does the same thing, where they just pick a random crazy idea and just roll a comic out about it.
Or like when there was a crossover and Batman and Wolverine were the same character.
Yes.
Which sounds sick.
It was super cool.
Yeah. And so that's the idea of canonity. But I think there's this perception that something being non-canon diminishes it as a story. And I think this is a big thing I get mostly from anime. And that is because, like, for example, Naruto is 50% filler almost.
Yes.
And a lot of those filler stories kind of suck, but some of them are good. Like, the last 100 episodes of the original Naruto series, mixed quality, I skipped all of them.
I did too.
Yeah, but I think most people did.
There's a couple good episodes with Jiraiya and Naruto doing their, master-apprentice shtick.
And I mean, and to be fair, I think Bleach has some of the best filler ever. And that's once again why Bleach has a very special place in my heart, because that's what got me into anime, got me into manga, got me into this whole world. And so, but Bleach has some legitimately very good filler. Mm-hmm. Like, the Amage arc is really good. And if you guys haven't watched Bleach, you should watch Bleach. It's really good. The last arc of the anime is bad. Like, it's just bad, because it invalidates a lot of stuff, but, like, you should watch it, get through the last arc, read the manga. It's really good. I recommend it. It made me happy, because it's a lot grittier. Like, so, it came from an era of manga, like, known as the Big Three era.
Mm-hmm. Where it was the Naruto, One Piece, Bleach era.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that era of manga, and it was always kind of the underdog. And that, I think, in large part was because it was comparatively speaking, a lot less upbeat and happy, and it was a lot grittier. Mm-hmm. Like, there were still comedic points, but it was generally much grittier compared to Naruto and Bleach. Because, like One Piece, or Naruto and One Piece. One Piece is about this kid trying to find treasure, and I'm not a One Piece person, so I might be completely wrong, so if I miss anything, don't kill me. He's going on this big adventure to find some treasure. Naruto wants to become the head of his village, and Bleach is just about a kid trying to live a normal life. But all of these things enter his life and take things away from him, which he has to go then and fight to get back. Like, that's one theme. When you look at the big major arcs of Bleach, it's always him trying to get something back and, like, restore normalcy. That's what every major arc of Bleach is about. Yeah, actually. I mean, because there's one part where there's a saga with it. There's, like the way Bleach is set up, there is, like, an initial arc, there is another arc, then there's, like, a saga of, like, 5 arcs. Mm-hmm. And then 2 more arcs. Like, the saga is the Aizen saga. It's really good. And then the arc after it kind of ruined everything. The full ring arc sucks. But if you haven't gone to Bleach, you should get into Bleach. It's good. And I like it. It made me happy. We're talking about comics.
Yes, we were talking about comics.
I mean, I set this up to be more of a freeform thing, because I didn't really feel like putting together show notes, because I feel like this kind of topic works better freeform. Mm-hmm. But yes, so I guess, at this point, what would you say are some good jumping in points for comics? For both Marvel and DC.
Pick an iconic arc, and that will usually get you really on tune as to what a character's major themes are, and from there you can just kind of pick and choose stories as you go.
Okay.
Because when I got into Green Lantern, it was right about when Blackest Night came out, and for those of you who don't know, Blackest Night is a major arc in DC that came out just before Flashpoint and New 52, where the Green Lanterns discover that they're not the only Lantern Corps in existence, and that there's one for every color of the rainbow, and also black and white. And the Black Lanterns represent death, and they come back as a bunch of zombies and resurrect all of the dead heroes, and they start taking over the DC universe, and the Green Lanterns have to stop them.
Okay.
And it was really, really good, because that was what pushed Green Lantern into the mainstream, because Jeff Johns, the writer behind it, he really liked Green Lantern, but Green Lantern had been kind of a middling hero, and this gave him his chance to shine. Okay. And so that really brought him into the DC mythos.
So then I'm assuming you would want to avoid like more one-shot things like The Dark Knight Returns, which is like, I think it's a what if, but it's like where Batman retires.
Yeah,
Batman comes back in. Because I know it was the basis for like the Batman vs Superman movie, and that's why a lot of people didn't like it, was because like so Batman, one of his principles, right, is he doesn't kill people. He doesn't kill people. And so I know in the Batman vs Superman, like, he shot some dudes.
Yeah,
like, that's not okay.
Kills an entire warehouse full of thugs. And even though it's a really cool fight sequence and it looks really amazing, it betrays some of the core tenets of the character.
And I think that came from The Dark Knight Returns, but the whole point of The Dark Knight Returns is that, like, he's not himself anymore.
Well,
that he's
actually,
grizzled.
He does not kill anybody in The Dark Knight Returns. Yep. There is one scene where he guns down a bunch of radioactive thugs, but he's using dummy bullets.
Okay.
And so they're actually just knocked out. And their boss is like, oh my god, Batman's killing people. I'm about to get murked. But Batman doesn't actually kill anyone, and he's just trying to, get into the boss's head, and then he goes and beats the crap out of him.
See, I think that plays into, I know, like, Batman has a lot of ethical things about him. Like, people like to analyze him and look at, is he really good? Because, like, he says not to kill people, and he says every life is precious, but the Joker kills a lot of people, and that's bad, and so Batman, bad. He should just kill the Joker.
He should not kill the Joker, because what the Joker represents is Batman's ultimate foil, and, like, the ultimate foil of what it means to be human.
Yeah. Which is also, I think, why the Joker is such a popular character. I think he's the most popular comic book character ever. Like, villain, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Because I was going to say, like, maybe in a moment, like, for April of 2018, it was Thanos for that, like, month.
But movie Thanos is very different
absolutely.
From book Thanos. Because movie Thanos is like the old, I think it was late 1800s philosopher Thomas Malthus, but a guy who's purple.
See, I have a lot of problems with Malthus, as most people who are into economics do.
Most people do. Malthus is kind of racist. Not even kind of, he just is.
He's also, like, just wrong.
Just very, very, very wrong.
Yeah, he was just so... Malthus, his argument was that humans are going to, like, experience a massive population decline because we're going to run out of resources, which on the surface makes sense, except doesn't account for the fact that, like, he A, didn't have a full grasp of Earth's resources, and B, didn't account for human innovation. And so he's kind of like, in every econ class that's, like, beyond intro level, and even most of them intro level classes, the professor's just going to meme on Malthus for a while, because he's kind of a clown.
Yeah, because he's a clown, he's racist, and he's wrong. And so Thanos is just him, but given control over the universe.
See, but then, like, his whole thing was he wants to wipe out half the universe. But that just give it another, like, couple more years, doubling exponential growth, we'll be back to the same thing.
Exponential growth happens again.
He should have just been like, hey, unlimited resources. That would have worked better.
But comic book Thanos wipes out half the universe because he wants Death to love him.
And
like
then Deadpool steals Death, and it's funny.
Yes. But Lady Death is just the personification of death in the Marvel Comics.
Yes.
And Thanos is...
He's trying to get laid.
He's trying to get laid. He's trying to get laid by Death.
Yeah, and, like...
He's just trying to win her approval, and that's why he kills half the universe.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's a much weirder motivation.
It is. I wonder how it would be like if it was like that. Like, that wouldn't have flown if it was for, like, Infinity War.
Yeah, that just wouldn't... That wouldn't have fit right with the Marvel Universe.
Yes. Like, what if, spoiler for Endgame, but it's been almost a year, so you should have seen it, like, Iron Man just kind of died because Thanos wanted to get laid. Like, that would suck.
Like...
That would... I almost cried.
I cried a little bit.
Like, I almost did. Like, I felt it, and then I didn't, because the scene wasn't long enough. But, like, how was that? That sucked. That sucked bad.
But yeah, there's some things that work with comic movie translations, and that reimagining of Thanos was really good.
I think part of it is that there are different mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think someone made a video I saw this a while ago. I think it might have been Cosmonaut, like from the Cosmonaut Variety Hour. But he was they were talking
Really
about
good channel.
Yes, fantastic channel. They were talking about how some stories can't cross mediums, which is why video game movies up until recently have generally done really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because
old video games have no plot.
And
they
even
have no themes.
And even modern video games, right, that have a story, the story is contextual to the fact that you're interacting. Mm-hmm. Like, you are a part of the story. So, like, for example, the narrative of Halo is really good, and there was a Halo movie, but a lot of Halo is that the story itself is simple, but you're the one doing the things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are playing as Master Chief, and you are going in and you are... Actually, you have a hand on the events in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that adds a lot more narrative weight in a way that a movie or a book just can't. Which is why I think people should get into other forms of media, opposed to just watching comic book movies, just watching anime,
mm-hmm.
but experiencing it in a different way. And experiencing the story from the context of static images, and having to fill things in, and looking at how framing within comics and manga. Although manga are just comics. Like, they just are.
Yeah, they're just longer comics.
I mean, no, just comics that are, like, in a different... I think it's just one of the things where, like, there's a translation. Like, I think comics in Japan are called manga. Like Superman
mm-hmm.
comics.
Yeah.
Or, like...
Superman manga.
Like how SpongeBob is called anime. Because anime just means animation. Like, I think that is changing now because, like, anime is taking a new cultural position. But it's still, like, generally speaking, that's just a weird thing. But, yeah, manga is just Japanese comics, and they're also mostly in black and white. Which I think part of that has to do with their publishing frequency.
Yes, just the time, because if you want to hire a
got 1 week
inker, you got 1 week to crank out that
yeah,
chapter.
Yep. The most you get is a color page.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and so I think it's worth jumping into these kind of memes. It's something I want to do. Like, I've been looking at picking up a few things. Like, I want to pick up. I've read The Killing Joke, but I want to like pick up like an actual paper copy of it, and also probably Court of Owls.
Yeah, Court of Owls is really good storyline.
Yeah. And so that's a Batman storyline. I like I'm an edgy boy. I like Batman, but I think out of the DC characters, Batman's probably one of my favorites. Probably Batman or like Cyborg,
mm-hmm.
and then
that's because they're some of the most human. And I think one of the biggest criticisms of DC v Marvel is that DC has a lot more god figures like Superman,
mm-hmm.
but I think that argument only holds weight if you don't read some of the good arcs, because some of Superman's best arcs are the ones where he's struggling to figure out what it means
to be human
and to be himself, mm-hmm. and to try and balance his morality with his responsibility to mm-hmm. protect the world.
Yes. And so I think on the Marvel side, I also really like Spider-Man. I think most kids like Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man's great.
Spider-Man's cool.
Spider-Man is cool. So I like him. I want to see if I can start reading the Miles Morales Spider-Man. And potentially Spider-Man, the future one. I don't know what the...
2099.
Yeah. That one's, I've heard that one's really good. Because I remember when I was a kid, I watched the futuristic Batman one for a little bit, like that show.
Batman Beyond?
Yeah, Batman Beyond. Yeah. And so, like, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of more inclined to futuristic stuff. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Do you have anything else you want to say about comics in particular?
Don't be afraid to just buy a couple comics and read what looks interesting.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to always be the best or most popular thing, because sometimes the most popular stories are not the best ones. Like The Dark Knight Returns, it's very good if you look at it in a political lens. Like, it's a very, very political story, but it's not as relevant today, because it deals a lot more with Cold War politics, and the Cold War's over.
It's been over.
Yeah, it's been over for a good 30 years now. Yeah. So it doesn't...
It's really been 30 years?
Mm-hmm. It's been 30 years.
Almost 30 years. Like
mm-hmm.
1991. Yeah, 1991. So soon will be 30 years. Wow. Huh.
But just don't be afraid to branch out to what looks interesting to you. Sure. And that's what really got me hooked on Green Lantern. He was just interesting and cool and space cop hop in the universe.
Yes, and I think this also applies for manga as well, because I feel like you can extend a lot of the things we've talked about to manga. Like, mm-hmm. just pick a series. I think the jumping in is a bit easier in the case of manga, because there's no intersecting continuities. Grab volume 1 and just start reading. Recommendations from me, I think Okay, if you're into like comics, just stuff from Shonen Jump, Dr. Stone is fantastic, and I think it's criminally underrated. Everyone should go read Dr. Stone. It's really good. It's not the conventional, like, basically superhero manga. Like, Naruto is just a ninja superhero. And, yeah, it's just about, like, science, but in a cool... It's really good. Really recommend Dr. Stone. And I just want to promote that because it's criminally underrated. And so, yeah, I think with that, we're going to rehash an old segment now. So since Alex is not here, I don't think there's a point in doing Discussion Avenue. So instead, we're going to return to Mike's... minute, because it's been more than a minute. Mike's month.
Mike's months.
Mike's month. So, what have you been up to lately since you were last on the show properly?
Since I was last on the show, oh man,
like 11 months ago.
Yeah, almost a year ago. Yeah. I've just been really diving deeper into a lot of economics courses.
Yes.
I think I can just go ahead and slap an econ minor onto my concentration.
You should do it.
Yeah. But I've been taking a lot more economics courses. I've been playing a lot more Magic the Gathering. Great game.
Yes.
I recommend it.
Expensive to get into.
It's very expensive. It's taken all of my money, but great game. Me and my girlfriends just had our 1-year anniversary last week. Yep.
I remember on the show in our first episode, we made a joke about it because of your dispositions prior to the impetus of this relationship. Mm-hmm. But he's done it. He's done it. We're proud of him. Good job. His girlfriend's cool.
Yeah, I really love her.
Yes.
I use the L word.
Do you have anything you want to say to her?
Mike's girlfriend.
If you're watching this,
listening.
We
do upload to YouTube, so
we do.
It all publishes to YouTube.
You can watch the audio waves.
No, it's just a static image, but
love you a lot. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. So
that's sweet. Yeah. I know you've also been visiting her a number of times this year, which I'm sure has also been expensive.
It has been very expensive. I've had to buy plane tickets. That's not cheap.
A faraway place.
Yep, faraway place.
Yes, same coast, opposite side. Mm-hmm. So yeah, what else though? Like broadly, it's a year's a lot of things to talk about.
I've picked up a couple new hobbies. I started gaming a lot more and playing Overwatch. I'm still not great, but I think I've really come into my own from when I first bought it.
Mike's girlfriend
was actually the one who got me into it, and when I first started playing, I really think she tried very hard not to call me bad, but I was kind of bad. But now
I think everyone is. Everyone's bad when they start. What role? Primarily
support. I really love playing support.
Okay, as you should.
See, I'm a Zen main.
See, as a last Overwatch player, in large part just because on campus, so I played primarily on Xbox, and on campus, Xbox Live doesn't work well because of our school internet.
Yeah, our school internet.
Something I've tried very hard to fix, but have yet to figure out a solution to. And my computer could probably run it, but I don't feel like buying another copy. Like, I have a PC account, and so I might jump into it at some point, but also I just need to do some work with my computer. I use a Mac, and Macs aren't meant for gaming. It's a productivity computer, and I have a gaming computer that's a jet engine that doesn't really work. And a PC is one of my, like, horizon expenses, something I want to have in the next 5 years.
That's something I want to get
like
as well.
Like a proper gaming PC. Because I think I like Macs for productivity. I think as a tool of work, I prefer it just because it's very stable as an OS and has a lot of nice integrations with like development stuff. Like coding on a Mac is just so much better than on a PC because it runs Linux natively, or Unix natively. That other nerd. But and so I might get back into it. See, back in my day. Because I started playing Overwatch in the beta. Like, way back, 2015, I started playing it. And I played until, I want to say 17. Yeah, I think, like, summer of 17 I was playing. And so, I was a Lucio main, as you should, because I think support mains are the best, because you always get the character you want.
You always do.
Learn to love a healer. You'll always get the character you want. Fast load times. Everyone will appreciate you. It's just nice. Mm-hmm. That being said, I'm really bad at Ana because I'm bad at sniping.
Ana's hard.
Yeah, which is funny because I think my most played character is still Widowmaker. Because when the game came out, I no-lifed Widowmaker for weeks. Until she got nerfed.
But Ana you have to have so much more awareness that I think you don't have to have as a Widowmaker. Because when you're a Widowmaker, you can get away with a little bit of tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And just plop in headshots. With Ana, you have to care about your team and the enemy team at all times.
Yes. And so, but healer mains are where it's at. If you play Overwatch, if you play any game that has healing, be the healer. Everyone likes healers. Like in Destiny, when I play Destiny, I'm only playing Dawnblade Warlock. Because I will heal everybody. I will create a circle of infinite ammo, and we will have a good time. I miss Destiny a lot. I can't play it on the school internet. It's horrible.
Even if you don't main healers like all the time,
Be
play
good.
play healer for a couple days.
No, I think
just to understand what it's like.
See, I still think you should have a character in every category. Mm-hmm. Like I was mainly a healer, but I had a DPS pick. Who did I play? I mean, I think anyone can play Soldier in Overwatch.
Yeah, Soldier's just a good pick. If you're not sure what to do, play Soldier, because you can sustain, you can lay down some supporting fire. You're never running out of things to do with Soldier.
I did get okay at Hanzo for what it's worth. Not good, but okay.
God, dirty Hanzo main.
Then my tank was Ryan and D.Va, but yeah.
Ryan and D.Va are in a good place right now.
Yeah, but
I thoroughly enjoy playing D.Va and Winston.
Yes, I never liked playing Winston. I never liked his tempo.
Yeah, he's really weak compared to the other tanks, just generally. But
yeah, so
when you're paired with a good D.Va, it's really fun to dive with Winston. Just jump on in there.
I mean,
zap some boys.
That was a meta for a while. It was you have Winston, D.Va,
Lucio,
Tracer. Tracer and Genji, and you just kind of like dive, and everyone's diving at each other, and the game's over really quickly.
It's either shred or get shredded.
I mean,
it's very
at the time, people forgot that Overwatch was an objective-based game. It's a game where you have to go do a thing.
You have to take the point, move the payload.
It is not team deathmatch.
I mean, it feels that way sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. But I think that's also kind of on Blizzard, and because I think one of the problems with Overwatch is that I think it's the philosophy. They've kind of come into their own in terms of philosophy of how they want the game to play. Because I think you made this argument a while ago that Widowmaker is far too good a sniper for Overwatch.
Yes.
And I think the problem is that if you nerf her damage, she'd be I think she's at a point where it's very hard to balance her without making her relevant. And so, Overwatch, I think, especially the map design, does, it can massively advantage snipers in a lot of ways. It huge really lanes, just bad.
Unless you have a team member who's dedicated to diving and taking out snipers. Unless you have a Doomfist or a D.Va who says, I'm going to spend this game shredding their snipers. Snipers are really hard to deal with. Hanzo and Widows can run amok.
Yes. And so, and I think Overwatch 2 is coming. And that... I haven't been following that much, and I kind of want to not follow so I can get into it some surprise and some element of blindness. I found that I used to be a person that would, whenever new video games would come out, would follow everything from the moment a game is announced to the day it's released. And I found that, like for Pokemon Sword and Shield, I went in almost completely blind. I did some light looking, but I went in blind.
Because it's a whole new platform.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a whole dynamic there that you might have to... you don't necessarily want to go in.
That being said, Corviknight is the best.
Oh,
Corviknight's
awesome.
great. You should play with Corviknight. It's just really good. Although G-Max Corviknight isn't that good. Its G-Max move doesn't do much competitively. No. Also, for a hot second, I almost got into VGC.
Competitive Pokemon is hard. You want to talk about a game that's got a hard floor to get into. It's competitive Pokemon.
VGC is the official sanctioned... So, the weird thing about Pokemon is that there are two kind of fields of competition. There's, Smogon, which is the unofficial fan one, which is honestly a lot better than VGC.
Yeah. Because
there's tiering and restrictions, and so, there's different metas, so if you don't want to use only the top-tier Pokemon, you can use other stuff. And then VGC is whatever's out in this game, use it however you want to. It's ORAS, you can use Mega Rayquaza... It was on every team in Worlds, I think.
Yeah, Mega Rayquaza
so
too
broken.
It's it created its own tier in Smogon because of how warpingly good it was.
Yes. It was like that. I think Mega Mewtwo was thrown in there at the time as well. Y, I think. I think Y Mewtwo. Right when it came out, they threw in Y Mewtwo. Yeah.
But Y Mewtwo since come back down to Hoovers.
Yes. Yeah. And so, I think VGC is hard, especially because... If you don't want to hack, and especially on a Switch, hacking is a fair bit harder. You have to spend so much time breeding and raising and training. It's a huge pain, and so that's why people hack.
You have to understand all of the hidden game mechanics, like IVs and EVs. IVs are Pokemon genetics.
Yes, you have to do Pokemon eugenics.
If you want to play competitive Pokemon, you have to breed yourself the perfect Pokemon.
Yep.
Does that sound morally sketchy?
Hidden ability. I spent 2 days playing all day trying to get a hidden ability Lucario. it was miserable.
It's hard. And then you have to EV train it, and EVs are effort points.
For what it's worth, I just opened up a chapstick and the core is gone.
Oof. It's in the cap.
Yep. Regardless, that'll be the word in the show notes. So like I think, what was it? Oh yeah, my Lucario. Like that. So that thing took forever to like get set, and then I had to get the ability. I had to try and like train it, but EV training, for what it's worth, has become a lot easier in Sword and Shield.
Yeah,
it's so much easier
since X and Y. They made it a lot easier with the mini games they had. That took off hours, but then they made it even easier for Sword and Shield.
Yeah, Sword and Shield, you can just kind of like buy it. You can just go and buy the EVs you need. Like what you can do is, I think you can go to a guy, he'll clear your EVs. Like for a level 100 Pokemon, he'll clear the EVs. He'll give you a free perfect IV as well. He will genetically manipulate your Pokemon. So if you have a 5 IV, you can make it a 6 IV just by buying it. For what it's worth, I think they're just embracing the competitive. And they're going to make it easier.
I mean, it was a very high floor, and if it's that easy,
like I have a 6 IV Gmax Snorlax just because I was like, hey, here's some bottle caps, and I think the currency are bottle caps. Here's some bottle caps.
Is this Fallout?
Maybe.
Is Pokemon Sword and Shield just Pokemon Fallout?
That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, so I gave him bottle caps of a like 6 IV Gmax Snorlax now. But yeah, he will just. It doesn't say perfect, but it is the same as a perfect IV. Like in this, because also you can check IVs now in game. You just kind of like look and be like, all right, there's his IVs. And so I have a 6 IV Gmax Snorlax, so it's easier. It's still a huge pain because you have to do Battle Tower to get the currency.
Yeah,
and
Battle Tower is always not fun.
No, for what it's worth, the rental teams are pretty fun now.
Okay,
like the rental teams are decent.
I always like to do Battle Factory and just kind of get a random 3 and then just switch them out each round.
Being which, you haven't played Sword and Shield yet, have you?
I haven't. I still don't have a Switch. I'm so behind.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna do some live on the show right now. Where's my mouse?
Are we gonna do our first Let's Play?
No, I'm opening up eBay.
eBay.com.
You should get a Switch.
I did just get paid.
Yeah. Here's the thing: if you don't have a Switch, like I think the Switch is probably the best all-around console out right now. Because I think Xbox has its place, PS4 has its place. The Switch is in a place where you don't want to play games on your phone. You want to be able to play games like in a bigger context, and you also want to be able to take things on the go. It's the best of everything. I think there's a reason it's taken off. We're gonna see how much a Switch costs, and then on air I'm gonna see if I can get you to commit to buying one at some point. That's a lot.
$249.
182 for a Switch Lite. I've heard the Switch Lite is really good.
Okay, but I do want the full dock Switch because I want to be able to play it on TV.
That's expensive. $350 for I guess that's
$350
original
buy
stuff.
It now? No.
Well, okay, there's still okay. Let me hit used.
Yeah, hit that used button.
Where's used? Where's the color? No.
Type.
Storage. Where's the? Okay, used and open box.
Yep.
Used, open box, manufacturer, refurbished. I think is the way to go. Okay, let's see. 250, 235, 165.
165. But
165.
that's a bid, so that's going to go a lot higher.
Yeah.
Plus $12 shipping. Yeah. I like that.
185, but console only. That's still not horrible. That's not horrible. Because docks are cheap. Joy-Cons you can get. The knockoffs are like
pick them up
just,
at Target.
Yeah. 169, but it's a light.
That's a light.
250. 250 and you get a case.
That's pretty good.
That's bidding. 258.
Okay, so the running price seems to be about 250.
Yes, so you should get one.
If I can make enough money this semester,
yes.
I think I'll splurge.
Econ experiments.
Yep, I'm already signed up for one on Wednesday.
Are they open?
They were. I think most of them were locked out.
I will check because I didn't get email notifications. So for those who don't know, our university, the economics department, just kind of has experiments, and so you can go to them, and then they will pay you.
Oh.
Full.
19th
Okay.
February, 4:30. Join me, Alavi. Join me at
19th
4:30.
February. What day is the 19th?
Wednesday.
4:30 to when?
Hour and 45, so like till 6:30.
I have work.
It'll run short.
Wait. There's a 2 p.m.
I can't be at the 2 p.m.
Okay, where's my schedule? See, I don't remember my schedule because it's a lot more compact this semester. And so I don't have as much incentive to remember. So I have a really hideous Google Doc I made for the express purpose of annoying Alex because I wrote on it in Comic Sans with my schedule and posted it up.
And that's just how you make Alex mad.
Yes, it's not just Comic Sans, it's bold, italics, rainbow Comic Sans.
Is it an attack on the eyes? Absolutely. But is it funny? For sure.
Where is it? Okay, there it is. what do I have on 2/20th and 19th? Because I'm also like, I have a job, and so I don't need money. Like, I'm not destitute. But
experiment money is always good to have.
Yes, exactly. It is,
especially when they give you $10 for showing up.
And also networking. I want to econ department. I want to get in with them. What am I on? Wait, no. 19th is
Wednesday.
Okay, wait, no. Wednesday. I am good.
You're very free at 4:30.
4:30. All right.
Join me.
I am.
Yes. So tune into the Sleep Drunk special post experiment where we're going to tell you how to break whatever they've thrown at us.
Or we'll be sad because we didn't make any money.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. The way they work, and I think we are kind of running up on time, but I just to finally explain it. The way the econ experiments work is that you're given an initial stipend. Like you say, you showed up, here is a check, or here is cash.
Yep.
You're set, right? That is how it's set up. So you do that, and then you will basically earn money based on how you perform in the experiments. There might be one. My favorite one by far is the one where they simulate the opioid epidemic.
Yes, that was so good. Like,
it was
the
also
payout
fun.
potential there was so high. Yes.
See, I still think some of them are just fun. Like, and so what it'll do is like you'll be a patient, right? And then depending on how you do as a patient, like you'll be given a certain score of how much you need the drug versus how
happy the drug makes you.
Yes. We will
basically you're simulating being an addict.
Yes, either an addict or someone who needs pain treatment,
or someone who actually needs
or some mix of the two. And so from there you will, depending on how well you perform, so it's like if you get the medication, you're given like an allotment of points, which is like your currency, and then you get an endpoint total based on the decisions you make, and then that gets converted to your cash. Then you were paid. And so it takes like skill, it takes understanding. It's not gambling, except for the one where it is gambling.
Yeah, there's one where it's definitely gambling.
Where it was like, I'm mad at that one, because there was one where you could make either like $5 or
$100. Yeah, or $100 or $5. I made $100
It was based
one
on the flip of a coin.
$5 the other. I'm still mad at the person who flipped the coin.
I am too.
The guy who flipped it for me gave such like a weak, limp...
Also, they had 5-sided die, which aren't possible.
Yeah, those aren't possible.
Those aren't fair.
So unfair.
Like, there's only, I think, like 6 actual fully fair die shapes. And they're all based on that. There's like a dodecahedron, a cube, a pyramid, like a 3-sided base pyramid, like a 3-dimensional rhombus.
All the Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, all the Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, I think some of the Dungeons and Dragons ones aren't even fully fair. A couple of them, the shape isn't fully fair.
Most of them are.
But like, I think they're fair within a point, but they're not mathematically perfectly fair. Like, there's like 6 mathematical shapes of die that are going to be perfectly fair every time.
The D4, D6, D12,
D20.
Yeah, D20. Yeah, the
and a few
D8
others.
and D10.
Yeah, I think D10 is one of them.
Yes.
And I think also like a different type of D8. Yeah, these thrombus. So I guess that's a good place to wrap up. Thank you for coming on the show today. And
I'm happy to be back.
You're free to come on anytime. Just like guest, show up.
If you guys want me to come back, leave a comment.
Yes, on the Instagram.
Tell Alavi, say something. Let me know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get tired of hearing of my voice, also say so.
Why the f*** is this guy back? Get out of here. We want to hear about ham radio.
Yeah, you want to shred my ego? Go ahead and do it.
I guess with that being said, the Sleepdrunk podcast can be found on all of your favorite podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. Don't forget to share the show, because that always appreciates it. We always appreciate that. You can give feedback on Mike's performance, or join Team Alex and then threaten to kill him.
We just kind of haven't told Alex that I'm on this week.
Oh, no, I did. I texted him.
Did?
Yeah, I sent him a text. And then, other than that, you can follow us at Sleepdrunk BC, Instagram, Twitter, we're on YouTube, and we'll catch you next week.
Catch you next week.